Pakistan won't change. Dr. Gujral and Dr. Manmohan Singh had some, personal connection with Pakistan. So they were keen to resolve issues.
Greetings to you. Today we have with us Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, ADC, retired. General Shankar retired as a Director General of Artillery Indian Army in 2016. He has a vast operational experience and has had many important command, staff, and instructional appointments in the Army. He has a deep understanding and experience of successful defense planning and acquisition spanning over decades. He is presently a professor in the Aerospace Department of IIT Madras and writes extensively in all leading publications, which you can name off, including his own Gunner's Shot website on strategic, geopolitical, and military issues. On behalf of Youth of India, General Shankar, the Geostrata welcomes you and thank you for your service.
Oh, thanks a lot to Geostrata, and thanks a lot, Darshan, for the generous introduction. It's indeed a matter of great excitement for me, to interact with youth.
Yes, sir, indeed, sir. It is honor for us as well.
Right, because I remember long back when we were doing staff college in Wellington. I remember this great man, Nani Palkiwala, who came and spoke to us. And he said, look, I come to, and he was a famous guy, and at that time, one of the most famous lawyers of India. He used to come on his own, without any money, nothing, just speak to staff college and go back on his own. And he used to tell us, why I come here free of cost, without charging anything and all. He says, I want to recharge my batteries. Every time I come and interact with the youth, the same goes for me. You people recharge my batteries. Let's start.
Fascinating, sir. Now, it was Sun Tzu who said that there is no instance of nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. So it has almost been a year since Russia-Ukraine conflict began in February 2022. What are the military lessons that India can learn from the prolonged conflict occurring in Eastern Europe?
That's a very interesting question. It's a long question. I'll just show you a couple of slides, highlight the whole thing, and then I'll also I've jotted down a few points, if I can be allowed to show the slides. Look, this is where the stance is. If you look at the map of Ukraine and Russia, okay, you see there are three distinct portions, one in an red outline, one in a black outline, and one in blue, shades in blue. The pink with a black outline is what Russia started this war last year. They went up. The red outline is what Russia holds today. And what is in blue is what has been retaken back by Ukraine. And virtually for the past 3 months, this war is frozen. And everyone thought that this war will go on for just, would say, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it will wrap up, but it's now gone on 11 months. And they're now talking of a renewed offensive in the summer. That's quite a long war. Well, the notion of long wars actually went out of the window, say the turn of the century. Everyone thought war should be short, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months max. But this has defied, calculations. Okay. But what are the major lessons you learn from this war? The first thing is you need to have a political objective. Okay. And that political objective has to be very clearly transferred to the military. So hence there has to be a politico-military fusion. What is your political objective? Clausewitz, who was a great thinker in his treatise called On War, said that war is politics by other means, right? Or politics is war by other means. Even Mao Zedong once said politics is war without bloodshed and war is politics without bloodshed. So there's a fundamental connect between the politics and how the war is transacted. Russia very clearly had some objective, but did the military thing go with it? No one knows. So we should be clear. I think that's the first thing. The requirement of the politico-military alignment in thinking is the most major lesson I take away. This alignment is there in Ukraine. They don't have anything. Because of the fact that the Ukrainian army and the political system of Ukraine, whatever it is on one line and one this thing, you find that they've been able to withhold and hold off this great Russian war machine. Okay. And I think we lack it in some sense, right? Because this politico-military fusion prepares nations for war. It's not that this fusion is required only during war, it is required before war, normal times. That I think is something very important. Long war is a reality, is a lesson we have learned. Okay. Then this thing has put up the fact that nuclear war is a possibility. In fact, apart from Russia threatening use of nuclear weapons, there is a throwback. I wouldn't say throwback. There's a rebound effect in Japan and Korea, who felt that due to the rising nuclearization of China, they should also nuclearize. So the nuclear arms race has gone up. So if all this is happening, what are we doing? That's a question. We have to answer that. Next thing is firepower alone does not win battles. For the past 3-4 months, Russia has been pounding Ukraine left, right, and center. That's why it showed that line, the front line. It has not moved. So the war is static, a lot of action. Okay. You need to fight and just not talk. Russia spoke hell of a lot. In fact, that and the second question, every army is strong till the first shot is fired on paper. That's the lesson for us. China, everyone talks of China, the PLA and China being very strong and comprehensive national power, X, Y, Z. But you have to fight and not talk. Okay. It's okay. You can have a great GDP. If you have a great GDP, doesn't mean you win a war. Okay. If that was the case, USA should not have quit Afghanistan and Taliban should not have won and taken over power in Afghanistan. Whatever way, what are the other issues, we'll not talk. But the fact is that in war, the other issues don't matter. What matters is your ability to fight. Right? And that we should be having confidence in our own ability, because we've never lost a war other than 1962. And we lost it because we didn't have the first question. We didn't have the politico-military fusion in 1962. We have it today to some extent, but we need quite a lot more if India has to rise as a power. You see, this is the year of the G20 where India has got the presidency of G20, and very soon we're going to be the third largest economy. When I say soon, in your lifetimes, maybe not in my lifetime. When that happens, you'll be a great power. And if you have to be a great power, you need to have politico-military fusion. Okay. Okay. What this war has shown is that proxy wars are low cost and more effective, which is a very important thing for us. Do we have to fight China? Can we do this entire business with China in a different manner? Can we do it in a hybrid manner? We talk of China prosecuting gray zone warfare, this warfare, that warfare. We also have the capability, and I think we have a bigger capability to do so, provided we are prepared to do so. And that preparation comes from the first point, politico-military fusion. Okay. Now, Russia is being bled till the last Ukrainian. Russia, USA is not fighting this war. Similarly, in our case with Kashmir, Pakistan is fighting the war till the last Kashmiri, not the last Pakistani. Right? So we have to understand this business. Proxy wars. How do you prosecute a hybrid war is important, right? So, right. stop sharing at this point. We'll get back a little later for anything else. Yeah.
Interesting. You put that. Sir, politico-military fusion is perhaps the most important. And you
Yeah.
also mentioned that that firepower alone cannot win the war. But as we are talking, Ukraine has been aiming to acquire Leopard 2 battle tanks from Germany to surpass Russia's firepower. Firepower vis-a-vis Ukraine. So this highlights importance. I know it alone cannot win the war, but this highlights the importance of firepower. And you are perhaps the most perfect person to talk it. How do you see this move, and how do you see the role of firepower in futuristic warfare?
Look, if the Ukraine war has said that the importance of firepower, it's not only tanks, it's also artillery. More of artillery. It's been an artillery war. It's a major. This entire war has been mostly an artillery war, right? But then the preponderance of artillery has to be combined with your ability to move on the battlefield, because war is fought by two things. The fundamentals of warfare is fire and move. You have to fire. There's a lot of firing you have seen, but there's not much movement. There's not maneuver. So unless you have that minimal amount of maneuver, you can't take firepower to its logical conclusion. That's the point.
I remember an article I think in a session with Mr. Adi, you also said that artillery plus infantry plus modern technology, there has to be amalgamation of all of
it. Has to be. It is a combined arms warfare. It's not a one-man show, one arm show, one weapon show. It's combined. Everyone fights the war. Okay, that's the first thing. The next thing which is important in this is why firepower is important, and the whole thing is the Chinese army lays a lot of importance on firepower. In fact, they think they can win this war by firepower. What Russia has taught us is firepower is very devastating, but it will alone not win the war. Equally, if China reads a lot of Russian war literature, military literature. And what little I have read, China might adopt the same principles. If China has to adopt the same principles, we should have a system by which we can unhinge that plan. Okay, and nullify that plan with firepower. Because as General Rawat, my old friend, late friend, General Bipin Rawat once said, we are entering an era of non-contact warfare. And non-contact warfare is all about deterrence, and it's all about firepower, and it's all about long-range effects. So that is something which we have to factor and handle in future. And that's the importance of firepower. It's going to dominate the battlefield. Especially in our case where, see, if you look at the LAC, the differences on the LAC are very little. You leave alone the claim of China on the entire Arunachal Pradesh. They cannot ever, that's a political ploy which started after 2003. So the configuration of the LOC won't change much. So if there is a war, there will be a lot of firepower. That's the reality which we have to understand.
That's an interesting way to put
it. And if you go back in history, Kargil was won because of our firepower. I mean, that's established, right? So because we had preponderance of firepower and we could move up those hills, fire and move, we won. Today, we have to do the same thing. But our firepower has to unhinge PLA firepower and then annihilate it.
Quite interesting, sir. Now, as we're talking about conventional warfare, I would like to move to non-conventional warfare. Many scholars, including yourself, warn against the emergence of Chinese multi-domain operation or multi-domain warfare. In an article you wrote in Financial Express last year on 29th December, you wrote that PLA writings indicate that future wars will be full dimensional. In addition to land, air, and sea dimensions, wars will be waged in electromagnetic, information, artificial intelligence, psychological, space, cyber, and other domains. This really is alarming, sir. How do you think that India should counter this multi-domain operation or multi-domain warfare at strategic level?
Okay, let me talk a bit conceptually and then we'll talk about what India needs to do. Again, I'll show a couple of slides. The last century was all about a term called revolution in military affairs. And this revolution happened because of better surveillance, better target designation, better communications, and better weapon systems and intelligent weapon systems. But since then, there are a lot of disruptive technologies which have come in. I just listed them all. Now, this has led to a concept, I call it the disruption in military affairs. Military affairs are being disrupted. And we're not understanding it. And that's why I launched this channel on Gunner Shot, where I'm tackling military technology and its impact on the war. In fact, last week I spoke at the Northern Command to explain to them how technology is going to impinge on warfare and how we have to induct technology and what we are doing in IIT Madras to do certain projects. But then be as it may, it's going to disrupt military affairs. So now we'll talk of this business of multi-domain warfare, which is multi-domain warfare is being conducted 24/7. There is no war or peace, right? Whether it's war or peace, it's a great thing. It's being fought day and night. Now, the actors in this multi-domain warfare could be state, non-state, state-sponsored, and when I say state-sponsored, they could be NGOs and MNCs also. They're part of this game. Okay. Now, the means could be hard, soft, or conventional and non-conventional power, including gray zone activities. Okay, which is right. Now, when you say the multi-domains, there are three domains. When you say full dimensional, what does China mean? And this is my analysis. That's not what they put out. This is what I have been talking of. I've been talking of this for the past 2 years. The multi-domain warfare will be the conventional domains are air, land, and sea domains. The technology domains are space, cyberspace, nuclear, and electromagnetic spectrum. When you say electromagnetic spectrum, AI and communications and whole lot, semiconductors, processors, everything comes in that. The next four are traditional domains: energy and resources, politics and ideology, diplomacy and economy. The next three, the yellow ones, are public opinion, legal, and influence operations. This is very important because China calls it the three-war strategy. And this three-war strategy is what is very important.
Legal warfare, public opinion, and what was the third
influence.
Influence, yes.
Right? And they use this especially against democracies to sway ideas, to influence us, to behave the way they want us to behave. They alter behavior. And to do all this, they use the technology domains. So there's a connect between the technology domain and their three-war strategy. Okay. They'll use your cyberspace. That attack on AIMS. Okay. Attack on AIMS was through cyberspace, but the psychology of it was in the influence and public opinion. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So that's how the whole thing works out.
How do you think, sir, India should counter it?
Yeah. The fact is that you can also operate in these. And these domains are not exclusive to China. You can also do it. And we are.
That's an interesting, and you must have some insights.
We are. Only thing is that, are we doing it the way China is doing it? Probably not. See, for example, to put public opinion, you need mass media. With media in China is fully controlled, but not in our country. But do we have the infrastructure to do it? We have the infrastructure far more than many countries. Just the footprint of DD is enough to do a lot. Okay. Then, of course, the second thing is we have to understand that we don't have to go gung-ho the way Chinese do. You can do subtly. Okay. I mean, let's take, for example, space. Despite everything, our space program is quite advanced.
That's true, sir.
Okay. One thing which I've not listed in this, it's not a domain of warfare, is this multi-domain warfare can be offset by alliances and friendships and strategies, which we are doing through Quad. We are doing through the I2U2 with Iran, sorry, not Israel,
Israel
UAE,
and UAE.
yeah, USA and India. We have very good linkages with the Western world, with the West Asia. We have very good linkages with Iran. We have very good linkages with Syria. I just saw someone speaking from Syria as to how we help them in education, food, and things like that. So that is something which we have, like how we are handling Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka went belly up financially. We've stepped in with our economy and diplomacy, right? And we've stymied China there. So it's not as if we are not doing it. We are doing it. I've just given you a few examples. Okay. So a lot of things we can do. Now, legal. For many things, we don't understand. But we just got that chap, Maki, who designated as a terrorist. Legally, we finished China in the UN. And China, till now, refused or rather put a block legally to say that he can't be designated as a terrorist. It's been done now. So it's not as if we don't. We have huge influence. Health is a new domain. Virus. Initially, in the past three years back, when the health virus broke out and the pandemic broke out, COVID, everyone thought China is winning this war in health. But today, 3 years down the line, China has lost it and we are winning. A lot of people in the world say, oh, the way India has done its vaccination and handling this virus and eradicating it is something fantastic. See, the problem with India is we don't recognize our strength. I remember Mr. Mike Ryan, he's executive director of WHO, or he's pretty high up. He's, I think, number 2 or 3 in WHO, especially in this coronavirus pandemic eradication program. He said, and I quote, he said, I expect India to lead the way to eradicate the virus. 3 years back, he says India has led the world out of polio and smallpox, and India will play a huge role in eradicating COVID. He didn't talk of controlling COVID. He said eradicating. So India is playing the leadership role now. So it's not as if we don't this thing. And actually, if you today, I'm not joking. After this, I might, in fact, I am going to record a small program as part of my channel on the threat of rising India to China, as China has reported it. China today perceives India as its very great competitor. We don't believe it, but they believe it. How do you know this? The number of articles on China, on India, from Chinese media have spiked. They could be good, bad, or ugly. When your adversary talks a lot about you, you are doing something positive. Isn't it? If I'm doing everything, if I'm a useless fellow, why will you talk about me? If we are adversaries. But if I start affecting you, you will start discussing me. That's happening today. So it's not as if we don't know how to do it, we are doing it. Are we doing it in a focused manner, the way China does it? That's a different story.
So what you're saying is we have to with the whole of government approach, we have to push more.
Push more. And evolutionarily, I'm very confident that we'll be there one day or the other, because we are a democracy. Okay, and we must, yeah, that's our strength, and we need to take that democracy forward.
Well, that's quite fascinating, sir. Now I would like to move from our eastern borders to the western borders. Quite fascinating, sir. Now I would like to move from our eastern borders to the western borders.
Okay.
Sindbad of modern times.
Okay.
Uh, how do you see India-Pakistan relation through a strategic prism? And do you think there will be any change in the Indian policy of General Asim Munir compared to that of his successor, General Qamar Javed Bajwa?
Pakistan won't change. Okay. One thing for sure is that Pakistan and India relations won't change in a hurry. Okay. Uh, More than us, we actually over years we've reached out to with an olive branch. Our Prime Minister Modi also did it. Previous Prime Minister also did it. Even before that, people did. Mr. Gujral had a doctrine to reach out. Uh, like Dr. Gujral and Dr. Manmohan Singh had some, personal connection with Pakistan. So they were keen to resolve issues. Despite all that, we've been rebuffed. Even now, uh, recently, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif, he gave an interview in in UAE. He said, "We've learned our lesson in 3 wars. We need to sit together and talk sincerely and all that." But he put a condition: provided India reinstates Article 370 and stops a lot of human rights violations and all that.
That's in
Uh,
utopia.
no, right, that's a different story. The point what I'm trying to get is their peace is conditional. And he's not seeking peace because they're at rock bottom economically. They're in the worst state I've seen Pakistan in my entire life. And from here, their only way out is to be friends with India. And their economy can be restarted with a dialogue with India and economic linkages with India. This is known. And this is not what I'm saying. This is what their thinkers are saying. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Parvez Hoodboy, who's one of leading thinkers I consider in Pakistan, a scientific thinker, he said, look, the time has come to say all the best to Kashmiris and start dealing with India economically and change your track.
And I think he also wrote that the bridge between India and Pakistan is the gap between India and Pakistan is unbridgeable.
Yeah. So the Air Marshal Shehzad Chaudhry recently in an article reiterated it explicitly. Despite all that, this man says, I'm not prepared to talk to you unless Article 370 is reinstated. So actually, they don't want. And his talk and views supporting that and against those people who want to talk to India, there's a deafening roar from Pakistan. Everyone who's right says why we should not talk. So if that is the case with the army, they hate India. I have dealt with the Pakistan army. Pakistani army hates Indian army and India for the simple reason they've been defeated every time. Right. It was someone I don't remember who it was, but someone did say Pakistan army is the best army or the greatest army which has never won a war. Okay. It has always lost, and yet it is counted as one of the best armies. They count themselves as one of the best armies, right?
I think it was Mr. Hussain Haqqani who said that.
Yeah,
it's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, but so the point is that so if the armed Janta is talking in that terms, you think the Pakistan army will change? It doesn't matter whether it's Musharraf or Bajwa or Munir or whoever. They won't change. So
That's true, sir.
Even now, my view is that we shouldn't talk to them. Let them talk to us. Why should we talk? Let them come and say, this is why I want to talk. This is my condition. You like it, talk to him, otherwise throw him out.
That's a real politic. I hope policymakers are listening to you?
I'm sure they are because they're much more. They've got more inputs and more informed than what I am sitting in one corner of India. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, I would like to move eastward towards Durand Line. How do you perceive the Taliban threat? Because still they are Taliban in Afghanistan. And do you believe that India is in better negotiating position now compared to then that of we were in August 2021 when they took over?
See, we are in a very good position because the threat Taliban poses is to Pakistan, not to us. Okay. The good chance, in fact, my view is Pakistan in some form is already in a civil war. Okay. With the TTP. Right. And this has been going on for about 8-10 years. And behind TTP is Taliban. And Taliban was created by Pakistan. So it's a circle. One creates the other, and fights with the other. So they are caught in a trap which they'll never come out. Okay. So again, here, what do we have to do? Just be nice. We don't have to deal with anyone. We just have to do our normal things. Give humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan rather than Taliban. Don't recognize Taliban. Talk to Taliban. But more importantly, we need to reach out to the people of Afghanistan. Today, Taliban might be there. They might go tomorrow. Someone else might come in. We don't know. Okay. So we should reach out and help the people of Afghanistan. As far as the Durand Line politics and whatever is happening for Pakistan, I think for a long time, Pakistan will have a problem. Because for the past 75 years, this Durand Line problem was not new. It came in when the Durand Line was drawn and Pashtuns were divided. And the local Pashtuns don't consider that line as a line which divides them. For them, it's immaterial. So for 75 years, Pakistan diverted this Pashtun nationalism either towards Kashmir or towards Afghanistan. Okay, in the form of proxy war, 65, 47 ops. Also, where they converted these people into Mujahideen and sent them into Afghanistan. And then they made the Taliban. After all, Taliban were the creation of the fellow who died, ISI, the chap who died.
Hamid Gul.
Yeah. So, and they were sent into Afghanistan. Now, where will they go? Taliban is firmly there. The Durand Line is still contested. Now you can't send these chaps to India because India has gone far ahead of them. Okay. And politically, revocation of Article 370 has actually defeated Pakistan. It finished Pakistan. I wrote about it at that point of time. It was a complete surprise for Pakistan. They didn't have an answer. I mean, to put it in Hindi, हाथ धोते रह गए ये, ठीक है ना? So they could do nothing. China couldn't interfere. So, and they have not recovered from that. Okay. So we need to talk to Taliban for a different purpose. As far as I'm concerned, I'm very happy with the situation in Pakistan because Pakistan has to internalize and look inwards. And I've always felt that inward-looking Pakistan is the best security for India.
That's interesting, sir. Now, I have a final question for you, General Shankar. We talked about warfare, we talked about China, Pakistan, geopolitics. Apart from all this, what advice would you like to give to us? Not us in general, us for youth of India. What advice will you go to youth who wants to join the defense forces, or to other people who particularly do not want to join defense forces but wants to serve the nation?
Look, I mean, everyone is welcome to join the defense forces and serve the nation. It's a great honor. I've got this honor for 40 years. I was very lucky. And if you're wanting to join, all the best. Welcome. But more importantly, every person, every young man in India will serve the nation best if he does what he does best. and progresses, takes everything forward. In the area where around you, keep it good, keep it progressive. Contribute by working hard, contribute by education, contribute by developing your surroundings and your society in which you live. If all of us do that, India will rise. That's one. The second thing is India has to rise. I just said this in a previous channel, right? And I've written about it. This article is called The Geoeconomic Rise of India. It came in Financial Express. And I also wrote that India is a third pole in global affairs in the print. You read both these articles and you'll understand India has no choice but to rise. I'm saying no choice. Why? When Second World War finished, Japan, Germany were nations which were destroyed, their economies were destroyed. But America rebuilt the nations and economies. For 75 years, both these nations have had the peace dividend. And in this peace dividend and this entire thing, right, they have come back again as the largest economies in the world. Look at China. 70 till 70, they were in the dumps. From 70 to 2022, 50 years, they've had a peace dividend. They've not fought a war. Okay. They were also assisted economically, and they have grown to be the second largest economy. America, throughout its history, has never had threat to its own land. That's why it's grown where it has grown. Look at India. We were a divided nation with enemies all around. We had to go through 3 to 4 wars. We were under sanctions constantly. We were always in the opposite. We were denied technology. We were considered that this nation will go anytime, break up. I mean, this is a feeling I've gone through in my life. Okay. We were looked up, down. Despite all that, you are where you are, and you are predicted to be the second largest economy, third largest economy in, say, by 2030. Not far. We're talking of 8 years hence. This will be in my lifetime. This is not predicted by me. It is predicted by Japanese, Germans, and everyone else. It's happening. We have progressed despite odds, despite cyclones. No one helped us during our cyclones. No one helped us during our natural disasters. We did it. India is a nation which has a lot of problems. We have religious problems, we have ethnic problems, we have all kinds of problems, corruption, whatever. But still, despite all this, we have risen. What does it tell you? We are unstoppable.
Inevitable. So the rise of India is indeed inevitable. The rise of India is indeed inevitable.
Inevitable. And this is what I've written in that article. I would like all your people in Geostrata to read this. Because youngsters, all of you will understand then what I'm talking of. It's called the Geoeconomics of India's Rise. It's there in my website, Ganashot.
I'll put it under the description. Sir.
Yeah.
I'll put all the articles in the description. You said so you served like more than 40 years in the army. There's like majority of our audience has a age bracket less than that.
Yeah.
What is your biggest takeaway, sir? How was your experience? What is your biggest takeaway from the service to the nation?
Look, I don't know whether I served the nation or not. I did serve the nation. That's a different story. But I think I've been very fortunate. Because I saw this land of ours from Indra Col, which is the northernmost tip of Siachen Glacier, to Indra Point, which is the southernmost tip in the Andaman Nicobar. Our southernmost part of India is not south in Rameshwaram or thing.
In Ocean.
It is there. It's called Indra Point. in the southernmost tip of the southernmost island of Andaman
Nicobar.
Nicobar.
Yes.
I was fortunate to see this. I was fortunate to see the western end, right, and the eastern end at Kibitu, and the entire area. And I found our land is fascinating. We just have to look inward. And it gave me a great opportunity uh, uh, to see what India is, what we are all about, and learned. It didn't matter which language they spoke locally, but they were Indian. I was fortunate. And to that extent, even my children were fortunate because they saw what India is. Otherwise, most of us sit in one city or two cities and finish off. But understanding India means you have to travel in India. And my thing is that, more than traveling abroad, I've enjoyed my travels in India. And the travel could be in a second class compartment or even a third class compartment. It didn't matter. But those are great experiences.
That's
That is something which and if I have to live a second life, I'll join the Indian Army again.
That's very amazing, sir, and literally getting goosebumps. So with that, I would like to end the interview again from the youth of behalf on behalf of youth of India. I thank you for coming here, and that was Lieutenant General P.R. Shankar. Users, stay tuned.